Let's get ready to story.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened to me a long time ago. And I spoke to the policeman back there, and I said the statute of limitations is long worn off, so you will not be able to arrest me tonight. And no one was harmed in the making of this story, luckily. The name of the story is called Sunday Drive. It's hard to drive a car when your feet can't reach the pedals. I met my best friend when we were 4. His name was Brian. We grew up in Carbondale on Belmont Street together, and we quickly became best friends. And one Saturday night, we decided that we would take his brother's shit brown Malibu out for a joyride. It wasn't really a joyride, though, because in honesty, we did have a job to do. We had to deliver Sunday papers, and those things are heavy. So as we went through the night, very excited about what was going to happen the next day, and we managed to get some sleep. 6 a.m. the crack of dawn, we woke up. His brother was passed out drunk on the bed. I was in the kitchen watching my friend Brian quietly sneak the keys out of his jeans pocket, which were thrown over the chair. I could feel my heart racing as I anticipated what we were about to embark upon. He came out, we quietly moved down the stairs and into the car. It was parked on an incline. We put it in neutral, slid back out, kept it in neutral, slid down the hill to the stop sign on Belmont Street, and we fired up that baby and let it rip. We took the ride out to Belmont Street, we went and got our papers at Louis' pool room. We loaded up the car, and for the next hour, we delivered the papers all over Belmont and Burkett Street. Brian driving alongside of me as I ran up and back and forth to get the papers. For a while, I was jealous that Brian was driving, but in all fairness, we stole his brother's car, not my brother's car, so he was in the right. We did take a nice convenient break at Burkett Street Playground, which had been abandoned for many years, so that we could blow donuts for 20 minutes all over the place. We spun around and around, shooting rocks and dirts all over creation, laughing our little 12-year-old asses off. But then it was back to work because we have integrity. So we continue on. We finish the paper out in the next half hour, and as we finish the paper out, my job, I also would go up and get the money out of the envelopes that were hidden in people's mailboxes under their mats and whatnot. And with the job done, on we went for a real ride. We went down to Belmont Street. We took that car all the way up through Simpson. We headed out onto Morse Ave, which connected us. This is before the Casey Highway. It connected us to White's Crossing, where we drove over the hill on Route 6 and into Waymart, where we took it over to the Gravity Railroad, which is it's a road up there with a magnetic pull underneath it. So you put the car in neutral, and it pulls your car up like a roller coaster going up over the first dip, which is really cool for two 12-year-olds. And as we drove on, I remember we had to stop and get gas. Obviously, we want to put the gas back in for his brother because we're kind and generous like that, and we are responsible. And I remember the person just came up and pumped the gas like nothing was going on. I always wonder about that person. In Carbondale and Simpson, there's not a lot of policemen out on Sunday morning. I noticed that too. There's also not a lot of people because it's Carbondale. That's hangover day. Sunday morning, nobody's out because it's Carbondale. And so we drove around, and we had a great time driving over the highways and all over the Pennsylvania roads. How about that? And you know, here we are. We're having such a great time, and we may have lost track of time because I remember Brian just turning to me and saying, "Holy shit, it's 9 o'clock. We got to get this car home." And so needless to say, we picked up the pace a little. Probably not a good idea, but I remember coming back down. We went all the way around. By this time, we were up in Clifford. And we were coming down Route 106, all the way down Fallbrook Street. We must have been doing about 60, or at least it felt that way. And I remember at one point, we took a turn a little too close, and I remember hearing the tires squealing and the gravel hitting the side of the car. And as I looked over, I saw a 100-foot drop over into the falls on Fallbrook Street. I remember looking over there, and it really is a breathtaking view because I couldn't breathe. And I found God in a hurry because in my mind, all I could think was, Jesus Christ! And I sat there, you know, like all of a sudden my short 12 years flashed before my eyes, and the good Lord must have heard me because Brian hauled on the steering wheel and pulled over and got us back onto the road, unfortunately a little too wide to the over the yellow line where there was another car rapidly approaching in the other direction. Luckily, he had better reflexes than we 12-year-olds did, and he was able to pull off into the shoulder of the road. I felt like yelling out the window, "We're only 12, what do you expect? I'm sorry." I flashed to Bugs Bunny cartoon Sunday Driver, And we went down the hill and thought, maybe it's a good time to get this car home. So as we went back to his brother's house, and we pulled the car back in, this time we didn't leave it neutral. We were pretty petrified. We knew we were running late. And as we got out of the car and stuck up the stairs, I remember coming into the living room, and I noticed that the living room light was on, and there was nobody in the bed. So we walked in, and there sat Stevie, dejected, fully dressed, with one major question. Why'd you take the effing car? Brian was already stock prepared with this great answer. Stevie said, give me the keys. Brian sheepishly dug in his pocket to hand him the keys. He punched him in the chest, and he hit him with that time-tested line, wait till I tell Mom, and he stormed out. I looked at Brian holding his chest, and the one thing I noticed that was written all over his face was the feeling that it was totally worth it. When we went around, almost drove off the cliff, for 5 seconds, everything stopped, and I forgot to mention that the one thing we did do was we laughed our asses off all the way down Park Street because we had survived. You know, it's like being rescued. The one thing I did learn from this entire debacle after it was all over, it was not the last of our adventures. We remained best friends right until this day, 44 years later. And I just spoke to him this week before I came to do the story, and the one thing that I learned is what doesn't kill you, it doesn't necessarily make you stronger. Sometimes it just makes you more brazen to try more brave, stupid, and crazy things throughout your life. But if you have a little bit of the luck of the Irish and the grace of a loving God, you might just live to tell the story as I have. So, thank you.